Welcome to Profiles in Caring. I'm Kimberly Perkins, and today we're going to Indonesia. Indonesia sits on the so-called Ring of Fire. It's an area with the most active volcanoes and the most earthquake-prone geography in the world. You add to that the most populated islands in the world, and the recipe is clear for disaster. One Indonesian village on the island of Java was swallowed by an earthquake in 2006. Relief efforts provided tents and bamboo huts, temporary shelter that the residents were still living in more than a year later. Inadequate shelters that let in the significant rainfall of these tropical islands. So what's the answer in this very unstable environment? Well, one U.S. nonprofit called Domes for the World came up with a rather ingenious solution. Photojournalist Lynn Peterson and correspondent Shauna Scott have the story now from the island of Java in Indonesia. Indonesia is an archipelago, or a group of islands, more than 17,000, only 6,000 of which are inhabited. People have been living here for millennia. Java man, an early specimen of Homo erectus, discovered on the island of Java in 1891, suggests that these islands have been inhabited for more than 500,000 years. People live much like they have here for centuries. They farm, fish, mine, and trade. While the current population is over 86% Muslim, there is a rich and diverse cultural and religious history. Buddhism is the oldest religion in the area, but some of the most stunning historical sites are Hindu temple complexes, like the largest in Indonesia, Prambanan. This site was built early in the 9th century AD, but was abandoned soon after construction was completed. Stunning relief carving touches every surface with intricate design. Modern reconstruction began around 1918, and the main temple, dedicated to Shiva, was finished in 1953. Many of the original building stones were cannibalized for newer constructions, and currently only those structures with at least 75% of their original blocks will be rebuilt. This leaves a larger perimeter of outbuildings with only their foundation stones piled haphazardly, indicating just how massive this complex was originally. Traditional Indonesian building methods are brick and mortar with a thin veneer of concrete, but without reinforcing infrastructure. Many villages are accessible only by narrow motorcycle pathway, or only on foot. Natives cope with life continuously shattered by volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, and earthquakes. Even national treasures are at risk. The same 2006 earthquake that swallowed Neglapan toppled stones and closed this facility until damages could be assessed.
So Rudy, this is the old village?
Yes. This was flat before the earthquake occurred in Indonesia.
Really? This was all flat?
Yes.
And now this hole is where the earthquake happened?
Yes.
Incredible. You were here when the earthquake happened?
Yes.
Tell me about that day. Tell me what you remember.
It was happened when I woke up in the morning. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. When I woke up, I felt a big shaking, and I was like, whoa, what's wrong with my house?
Were you scared?
Yes, I was very, very scared, and I thought that I would die.
Does he remember the earthquake?
Anda ingat gempa buminya?
Ingat.
Yes.
Can you tell me about what he remembers?
Ya pertama-tama waktu pas kejadian gempa bumi itu.
The shake is very big. The shaking is very big.
Jadi tanah itu.
The ground was like a wave on ocean. I'm scared about my children.
The first time I visited Indonesia, that was the most eye-opening experience of my entire life. I had no idea what went on in other countries. I went there expecting to see what I saw, but I wasn't prepared. I was lucky enough to meet people right away that were able to show me firsthand the devastation, the death and destruction that had happened, and the lack of response. Everywhere we went, and I don't know how to explain it, but more than just to say there was utter devastation and no one to help. And yet everybody was smiling. It was the most heartbreaking and uplifting experience of my life. This was the most catastrophically destroyed place that I had ever seen. This place, what had happened was there was an earthquake in May 2006 that had struck the area of Yogyakarta, Indonesia.
The island of Java is the most densely populated island in the world, and it's also the most earthquake-prone island in the area. It's on the Ring of Fire. There's a lot of earthquakes.
Everybody was displaced. In villages where there were 400 homes, maybe 4 homes would still be standing. So you're talking everybody was living on the ground. Old people, young people, most people had lost somebody. And yet, like I say, they were still smiling.
I see a lot of NGOs come in and they bring tents and temporary shelters, and 2 years after the disaster, they're still living in the tents. They have nowhere to go, no money. The tents are falling apart, their bamboo huts aren't lasting. And I see a problem, just ongoing problem. There's a lot of earthquakes. I've been here 5 months, and there's been 3 on this island so far.
We found a village that was ready to be rebuilt. The entire village was swallowed whole by a catastrophic landslide. It wasn't really even a landslide, it was a sinkhole. The land had opened up and the village had fallen inside.
There's going to be another earthquake here, and the question is, do we keep rebuilding the same house over and over and over again, or do we come up with an option that we never have to rebuild again?
So who came up with the ingenious solution for stable, earthquake-proof housing, and what unusual form did it take? Rebecca South, president of Domes for the World, has an insider's perspective.
I am number 7 out of 10 children of David B. South, who's the inventor of the monolithic dome.
The monolithic story began while David was still in high school with his interest in dome building. By 1975, David and his 2 brothers, Barry and Randy, had successfully built their first monolithic dome, a potato storage facility in Shelley, Idaho. That project resulted in a patent for the process and launched an innovative construction system for monolithic dome homes, schools, churches, sport and commercial facilities.
My father took a bunch of people on vacation through Mexico. They kept driving off of the main road and seeing all these places where very, very poor people were living. He was quite disturbed by the conditions, and he was seeing the cardboard houses. He thought to himself that there had to be a better way where we could build more efficiently and better so that he could actually help the people in Mexico. And that's when he came up with the idea for the eco shell.